What's the most redneck thing your family has done? So my folks and I had a quiet little cattle farm going for years, just living peacefully out in the country until some city folks bought a tiny strip of land right behind ours. At first, we didn't care much, thinking we'd all get along. We liked our space and privacy. But then, a fancy lawyer called my dad, saying our back fence was over their line by just 2 to 5 inches in some spots. Can you believe it? These people didn't even say hi or shake a hand. They just sent a legal threat over a tiny bit of dirt. My dad, a super nice but tough guy who believes in talking over signing papers, called them for a meeting. He asked if a few inches really mattered, and why they couldn't just chat with us first, like neighbors should. He even offered fair deals to fix it. But nope, these new folks acted all high and mighty, demanding we move the fence right away or they'd take us to court. They wanted every inch, because some rule said their new house had to be a certain distance from our line, and they planned to build far back from the street. Dad came home, took off his old cap, and told Mom real quiet, well, looks like we got the worst neighbors ever. Sure enough, they sued, won, and we had 2 weeks to move the fence. I had to help since farm kids are like free workers for stuff like this. It was a hard job, costing us money and time to tear down the old fence and build a new one. But we finished just as spring started. Now here's where it gets funny. Right after they built their fancy house and moved in, Dad woke me up super early one weekend. We drove the farm truck to the hardware store, grabbing posts, wire, and wood. I was confused since we had no big plans I knew about. I kept asking what we were doing, but Dad just grinned and said to wait. We built a small corral and shed real close to our back line, right by their new house. The next day, a friend dropped off 6 goats into that spot. Dad fed them kitchen scraps and some proper food, but let me tell you, goats stink bad when they eat leftovers. It was an awful smell that made your eyes water from far away. I had to ride out daily to care for them, and halfway there, I'd be choking from the stink. When we cleaned their mess, we'd dump it near their pen, making a nasty pile that smelled even worse. I can't imagine living in that new house with that smell blowing over every time the wind shifted. Of course, the neighbors got super mad, but instead of talking to us, they called lawyers again, demanding we remove the goats. Guess what? They lost. Our area allows farming and livestock, and Dad made sure everything was legal. The goats didn't bother us or other neighbors, just the people behind us. By winter, we sold the goats for meat. Dad stacked more supplies by the empty pen, hinting we'd grow our livestock business in spring. The neighbors yelled from their porch, super angry, but Dad just stood there smiling, saying real calm that yeah, the smell could get strong. By January, with the ground frozen and no smell to warn buyers, they sold their house fast and moved out. Once they were gone, we tore down the corral, spread the leftover mess on our pasture as fertilizer, which it's actually good for, and the new folks who moved in never dealt with any stink come spring. Turns out, they're awesome neighbors, the kind you hope for, and we're still tight with them to this day. Moral of the story? Don't mess with a farmer on his own land.